the events of 7/7 did not happen the way they've been described. There are unexplained discrepancies, inexplicable contradictions, and unanswered questions in the official story.
More than a year before the 7/7/2005 attacks, an edition of the BBC One Panorama programme broadcasted a mock exercise imagining what would happen if a terrorist attack was executed in London, consisting of 3 explosions on tube trains in the London Underground and 1 explosion on a road vehicle.
So the potential for mass panic across the whole country is very much with us. We do have reserve powers to take over the BBC if we were to wish to, and to get them to broadcast whatever we wanted them to broadcast. Those powers are there in the Broadcasting Act.
We should certainly be talking to the broadcasters about the way in which the coverage is going to be organised.
The actual mock anti-terror drill chosen by Visor's client to be carried out on the very same day that 4 Muslim suicide bombers also chose the same scenarios. So the scene is set. The training exercise involved 1,000 people and, of course, the mock terrorists. The 4 mock terrorist actors were to meet at Luton train station at 07:20 a.m. on the 7th of July 2005 and catch the 07:40 a.m. train from Luton to King's Cross Thameslink station with their pretend bomb backpacks, and then split up and catch 3 tube trains and 1 bus to prearranged destinations. These Muslim men would naturally buy return train tickets and not one-way tickets. The train that the 4 Muslim actors are supposed to catch has been cancelled, and the next one too. The first train after 07:40 a.m. left Luton at 07:56 a.m. and arrived at King's Cross Thameslink station at 08:42 a.m. The 3 tube trains that blew up left King's Cross Underground station at 08:35 a.m. the eastbound Circle Line train number 204. 08:42 a.m. the westbound Circle Line train number 216. 08:48 a.m. the Piccadilly Line train south. It was therefore impossible for any of the 4 accused Muslims to have caught the tube trains that blew up. In spite of official confirmation, the Home Office report still contains that the non-existent 07:40 a.m. train was the one that the 4 Muslims caught. The 4th Muslim backpacker is reported to have been seen wandering around London, going into McDonald's and eating a beef burger. We are told that Hasib Hussain started from King's Cross Thameslink station and was seen on a number 91 bus travelling west along Euston Road to Euston Station, where he caught the number 30 bus that would have then travelled east back along Euston Road, retracing his steps if it had not been diverted into Tavistock Square. The number 91 bus that Hasib Hussain is reported to have taken from King's Cross along Euston Road to Euston Station actually goes to Tavistock Square. So, if he wanted to get to Tavistock Square, he could just have stayed on the number 91 bus. Richmal Marie Oates Whitehead, who worked at the BMA in Tavistock Square, said she heard 2 explosions on the bus. Her testimony did not fit with the official story, and she died unexpectedly shortly afterwards. Other witnesses also reported a second explosion on the bus. A white van from a demolition company called Kingstar is seen and photographed parked at the side of the bus immediately after the explosion.
At 9:30 this morning, we were actually running an exercise for over a company of 1,000 people in London, based on simultaneous bombs going off precisely at the railway stations that happened this morning. So I still have the hairs on the back of my neck standing upright.
To get this quite straight, you were running an exercise to see how you would cope with this, and it happened while you were running the exercise?
Precisely. Today we were running an exercise for a company, bearing in mind I'm now in the private sector, and we sat everybody down in the city, 1,000 people involved in the whole organisation, but the crisis team. And the most peculiar thing was we based our scenario on the simultaneous attacks on the Underground and mainline station. So we had to suddenly switch an exercise from fictional to real. My own company, Visor Consultants, we specialise in helping people to get their crisis management response. How do you jump from slow time thinking to quick time doing?
How extraordinary today must feel for you as it unfolds.
Peter Power states that their customer helped to choose the exact scenario. I repeat, Visor's customer helped to choose the exact scenario. To this day, Peter Power refuses to publicly identify the customer who chose the exact scenario. The probability of the 7/7/2005 drill and attack coinciding without being planned to coincide in a 10-year period is 1 chance in 37155992000000000000000000000.
Within minutes, eyewitnesses were reporting to the press that there had been multiple terror attacks. Despite the fact that the G8 World Summit was on July 7th, the British government lowered the terror threat on the London Underground within hours of the 7/7 bombings. Israeli army radio was reporting that Benjamin Netanyahu, the former prime minister of Israel, had been warned not to leave his hotel that morning to attend a meeting less than 100 yards away from one of the train stations that was bombed.
The Israeli finance minister said that he was warned by Scotland Yard.
The Associated Press ran the headline, "Netanyahu changed plans due to warning."
2 weeks later, the head of the Israeli Mossad, General Meir Dagan, said that he had warned Benjamin Netanyahu, but not the British people 10 minutes before the first blast occurred. Ephraim Halevi, a former head of the Israeli Mossad, wrote in an article published on the Jerusalem Post website at 18:10 p.m. London time that the attacks had been carried out simultaneously with near-perfect execution. How could he have known what the perfect results should have been in order to know that the actual results were not perfect? The Jerusalem Post article in question was completely removed from their website after people began to ask similar questions. On one of the early TV news broadcasts that day, a newsreader announced that a report has come in that 3 of the terrorists involved in the bombings had been shot and killed by the anti-terrorist branch of the police at Canary Wharf in the Docklands area of London's East End. The announcement was made only once and never repeated. South London Press. Police were yesterday probing reports a man had been neutralised outside Canary Wharf. It is believed the man was shot dead by police marksmen. That means that the police shot and killed at least 3 suicide bombers who were supposed to have blown themselves up on the 3 tube trains in Canary Wharf on 7/7/2005.
With regard to 7/7, there has been a witness report now included in a local British newspaper called the Cambridge Evening News, in which somebody who was on one of the tube trains says that he didn't see a man with a rucksack. In fact, after the explosion, what he saw was metal pointing upward from the bottom of the carriage. That would indicate, of course, that the bomb was not carried onto the tube train, but was in fact attached underneath it.
They just left Edgware Road station when suddenly they felt they had a massive explosion. And some passengers described how the tiles, the covers on the floor of the train suddenly flew up, raised up.
These occurrences are much more consistent with the kind of damage caused by dynamite or military explosive like C4.
Explosives under the train floors, powerful enough to rupture the carriage floors and bend them upwards, would also lift the carriages up off the rails and derail them, as did happen.
If London could survive the Blitz, it can survive 4 miserable bombers like this. I'm not saying there are 4 bombers, 4 miserable events like this.
By the 15th of July, the police had discovered identification for all 4 suspects at the 4 blast sites. 3 days later, the police made it public that they believed Shahzad Tanweer, Mohammed Sadiq Khan, Jermaine Lindsay and Hasib Hussain were responsible for the blasts in 4 suicide attacks.
They claim to have found Hasib Hussein's ID in Tavistock Square. However, they also claim that ID from another of the 4, Mohammed Siddiqui Khan, was found in at least 2, some reports say 3, separate blast locations.
Police are, though, clear about one thing. The 4 men in no way fitted the established profile of a suicide bomber. Tanweer, 22, who lived in Leeds, was a sports science graduate who helped out with his family's business. A number of sources have recalled Tanweer playing cricket with friends in Leeds the night before the bombings. According to the Home Office report, he was filmed at Woodall services on the M1, buying snacks and arguing with a member of staff over his change at 4:54 a.m, hours before the blasts. Hussein, 18, still lived with his parents. He had completed his MVQs at college and had just been accepted to study a business degree. He was engaged to be married. Lindsay, 19, born in Jamaica, had lived in Britain since childhood. Married with a young son, he was expecting his second child. A carpet fitter by trade, he lived in Aylesbury, Buckinghamshire at the time of 7/7. Khan, 30, married with a daughter, was also expecting his second child. The teaching assistant and youth worker from Leeds was highly praised by colleagues and students alike. Access to his local education authority file revealed that Khan had been trusted by the police to the point of helping them in work designed to combat the problem of gangs in Leeds.
None of the family, none of their associates have the first clue about any fundamentalist tendencies.
The amount of information coming in and the quality of information coming in, the fact that that has been so consistently overlooked, it would appear, by the Security Service MI5, to me suggests really only one of 2 options. Either A, we've got a level of incompetence that would be unusual even for the Security Service, but B, possibly, and this is a possibility, that his man Khan may even have been working as an informant for the Security Service. It's difficult otherwise to see how it can be that they've so covered his tracks in the interim.
Aswat is believed to be the mastermind of all the bombings in London.
On the 7/7 and 7/21, this is the guy, we think.
This is the guy. British police are out chasing him, and one wing of the British government, MI6, has been hiding him. And this has been a real source of contention between CIA,
Hold on, John.
Justice Department, and Britain.
MI6 has been hiding him. Are you saying that he was a double agent, or what?
He's a double agent. Now, we knew about this guy Aswat. Back in 1999, he came to America. The Justice Department wanted to indict him in Seattle. The headquarters of the U.S. Justice Department ordered the Seattle prosecutors not to touch Aswat.
Hello.
Well, apparently, Aswat was working for British intelligence. At this point, the Brits know that the CIA wants to get a hold of Haroon. So what happens? He takes off again. Goes right to London. He isn't arrested when he lands. He isn't arrested when he leaves.
Even though he's on a watch list.
He's on the watch list. The only reason he could get away with that was if he was working for British intelligence. He was a wanted man.
And then takes off the day before the bombings, as I understand it?
Yeah, and goes to Pakistan. Pakistan is arrested.
They jail him.
They jail him. He's released within 24 hours.
The day after 7/7, and 4 weeks before his death, Robin Cook made the point in an article in The Guardian. Al-Qaeda, literally the database, was originally the computer file of the thousands of mujahideen who were recruited and trained with help from the CIA to defeat the Russians. The 4 men had nothing to do with the somewhat mythical Al-Qaeda organization.
No one has ever claimed responsibility for the 7/7/2005 bombings, except for a message on a website on the same day that was traced to Texas in the USA.
London is the most surveyed city in the world. If the men were really on the tubes that day, then why is there no CCTV coverage of them on the London Underground?
The police themselves emphasised the men should have been filmed by CCTV cameras along the whole route.
The 3 cameras on the bomb bus were not working that day.
Stagecoach say this is an impossibility. The Metropolitan Police actually pay the bus companies to maintain the cameras in good working order.
No CCTV footage has been released to the public. All we have seen are 3 still images.
It took the police of Scotland Yard 7 months to question me. I actually called them, contacted the emergency information hotline the following day. I even gave an interview with a journalist. This was a week after the actual 7/7. He showed me a picture of Hasib Hussein, and then he asked me, have you seen this person